All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is PPI inflation data day. We got AMD up to 154. We got Nvidia at 170s. Microsoft at 505s. Let's take a deeper look at some of these here, though. Here's AMD and Nvidia. Microsoft slightly red on the day, down at 170s. It closed just under 171 at 170.70. Same thing for AMD. The Nasdaq is very similar to that. You can see we're basically slightly green on the day. Let me see where we closed. I'll have to look at the previous closing price on the NQ. I think we're basically flat on the Nasdaq today. But yeah, so we opened up on the NQ. We're slightly green. Actually, no, hold on. We're slightly red for the Nasdaq as well, but basically flat leading into PPI inflation data. The volume should be pretty good. Let me get some music going. Hold on. Of course, yesterday we had CPI inflation data show up better than expected, but a little bit worse than last time is what it showed up as. Let me make sure my volume is working. Hold on. Okay, so it says my AirPods are connected, but I don't hear anything. Hold on. You know what? I'm just going to put it on. Okay. There we go. What's up, Kay, Ryan, Yowzer, Ray, Pawn, Robert, Steve, Predictable, Graph? Good morning. All right, guys. So the Nasdaq yesterday did end up dipping down some, I think. Yeah. Yeah, let's see if it's a green day. Let me do a poll here. Actually, we'll ask people, does today's PPI inflation data come in higher or lower than the what is it, 0.2%? Is what I think it's supposed to show up as today, 0.2%. Yeah, 0.2% expected. All right, so does today's PPI inflation data show up higher or lower than the 0.2% expected? Hey, thank you. Thank you, John. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll put the... Yeah, so CPI showed up at 0.2% as well. So yeah, PPI inflation data drops live here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Expected at 0.2% month over month. What's the yearly expectation for PPI? It's expected. All right, so PPI year over year expected at 2.5% year over year. Core is expected at 0.2% as well. So We're going to put the core expectation up as well. Core 0.2% as well. Year over year for core is 2.7%. All right. Here is the whole gang of expectational data for PPI inflation. You go right at the bottom. Look at the Nasdaq though. Nasdaq rejecting right at this 25 level and bouncing right at this 8 level here that we have on our chart. We'll see what it does. Let's talk about what's moving markets. Let me drink my coffee here. All right, so futures are mixed after inflation data. The Dow Jones rose slightly. S&P and Nasdaq eased slightly, reflecting uncertainty from CPI, basically. The chip equipment maker ASML plunged 7% this morning due to a cautious outlook for 2026. We did have some earnings drop. We had ASML had a cautious outlook, weak outlook, and they came in lower than expected for EPS. So if we take a look at ASML here, they are gapping down from 823 all the way down to 766. So from 823 all the way down to 766. And stocks, you can see them dipping down. Nvidia climbed 4 to 5% after the U.S. approved resumption of the AI chip sales to China for their H2O chips, and same thing with AMD. AMD unlocked their chip sales to China as well, boosting momentum for AI and semiconductors yesterday morning, if you guys remember that. We also had bank earnings, and then today we have more bank earnings. So today we have Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Johnson & Johnson, Morgan Stanley, and a whole gang of other bank earnings this morning. So Morgan Stanley raised China's 2025 GDP growth forecast to 4.8% from 4.5%. We also had Bank of America credit card data for June show a delinquency rate of 1.38% and a charge-off rate of 2.33%. The president also said, quote, consumer prices are low, bring down the Fed rate now, end quote. Again, U.S. president said consumer prices are low, bring down the Fed rate now. Bank of New York CEO says it is a very high bar for M&A, especially larger transaction. We are focused on organic growth. And again, we had some bank earnings as well show up this morning. All right, so China's cabinet meeting said they listened to a report on competition in the EV industry, according to CCTV. Johnson & Johnson posted 277 EPS versus 266 expected. PNC Financial posted 385 EPS versus 365 or 356 expected. Commerce Bank showed 114 versus 102 EPS. M&T Bank showed 424 versus 404. So a lot of beats in EPS. We'll have to see what everything else did, but looking at our poll numbers, 44% think we're going to have higher than expected PPI inflation data. 27% think lower. 29% think as expected. Higher corporations are paying more for items and resources. This data point is from June, so next PPI will be worse since tariffs will show more accurate August to represent July. Maybe, yeah. But I mean, you got to understand, these tariffs have been in place since... a lot of people think these tariffs are going to kick in this one, not last one, or not next one. But it depends. Yeah, y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Oh yeah, let me get a timer up. I got you. Can y'all hear the music? What's up, Ryan? Music's playing, brother. Let me know if you can hear the music. You should be able to. You know what's really weird is that I just set the timer up and the timer was already at the right time. How strange, man. I literally just set this timer up and it was already at the right time. I just had to hit play, and for some reason, either very strange. Enough to freak me out here. Look at that. How strange. All right, here's the timer right here. Let's see if we can make this a little bit smaller to fit the timer in a little bit better. There we go. It's playing very low. Okay, I got you. Better? Let me know if that's better. I can always turn it up a little bit more if you guys want. Let me know how the sound is. Sound should be pretty good, though. We're back at home now. What's up, Beach Bum? Yeah, ASML, bad reaction to earnings. Bad guidance numbers is what happened with ASML. Bad guidance. Yeah, ASML down big. There's Nvidia 170.50. Nvidia's trying to go back green on the day, though. Look at it. Deutsche Bank warns the Fed misread, so strategists say that markets continue underestimating inflation and misreading the Fed remarks for a fourth year, noting risks from tariffs and geopolitical pressures. U.S. bond yields have stabilized upward into mid-July, so we look at the 10-year Treasury yield this morning. Bond yields are higher today than they were yesterday. You can kind of see this move here for bond yields. Bond yields are higher. You can see bond yields here. 10-year Treasury yields up to almost 4.5%. They're at 4.47%. You can see where they were yesterday. They were at 4.42, 4.43. They're now at 4.47 for bond yields. If you take a look at the rate expectations here, still very, very probable that we are not going to cut rates this month in July. Still very, very probable that we are going to pause rates. 97.5% likelihood of a pause in interest rates on July 30th this month. So it's not looking very probable that we're going to cut this month. It's looking very probable that we're going to pause rates. Again, markets are going to be watching for potential carryover inflation from wholesalers, likely informing the Fed's policy path and interest rate expectations. Again, ASML's guidance cut and Nvidia AMD strength will influence tech today. ASML, AMD, Nvidia, semiconductor ETFs, Broadcom, Taiwan Semiconductors are going to be relevant. We're going to look for key metrics, trading revenue, loan spreads, guidance of Bank of America, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, and with the rest of their earnings coming out today. You have tariff policy remains a major undercurrent. Piper Sandler notes more hikes likely before August 1st. Tariff hikes, that is, not rate hikes, just to clarify. All right, guys, so at 7:30, in 10 minutes, we got Goldman Sachs. We have Morgan Stanley at 7:35. We've got Progressive at 8:20. And so we're going to cover these when they drop. But again, we got Bank of America showed 89 cents versus 86 cents. I don't know what their revenue was, but yeah, y'all go check out Beach Bump's channel. He's got some good swing trading content. Y'all go check his channel out. Oh, let me catch back up with the chat. Sorry, guys. What's your view on where the market's sitting right now? Like, do you think there needs to be a healthy pullback, or would you lean more towards breaking all-time highs? I think this is a question that has a lot of variance, right? This is an answer that has a lot of variance. I think that markets can do either one very easily. I don't think either one of them is super high percentage in terms of like what the market does here. I think a lot of it depends on monetary policy. I think the market wants rate cuts, and so I think things that push back rate cuts or show less likelihood of rate cuts are going to make the market react negatively to a certain extent, and anything that might push up or reinforce the odds of rate cuts might push the market up, or vice versa. And so I think it has to do with monetary policy moving forward. I think the market could keep running. It depends on stocks. It depends on what, like Nvidia, AMD, Microsoft helped the market run a little bit yesterday before it pulled back. So, Meta, depends on a lot of these Mag 7 stocks and what they do. But yeah, it depends on the Fed, depends on what happens. And I'm not sure. I think it's certainly possible we could pull back. I think we are at all-time highs. A lot of the time when we break all-time highs, though, in the broad market, we run for a little while. Not always, but sometimes. And so I think either one is very possible. And I don't think betting on either of them necessarily has a super high edge. Like, I don't think shorting right here makes sense. I don't know if longing short term makes sense. Like long term, you could always DCA and make money long term for the most part. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. Have no idea what I'm talking about sometimes. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. Understand CFTC 4.41. With that said, though, if you DCA into the market, you're probably going to make money either way, but it might take some time at this point. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the market keeps running after breaking all-time highs or breaks all-time highs again today? Or do you think we pull back? Let me know. And that's my honest answer. If I wanted to sound like a genius, I'd be like, oh yeah, the market's going to do this. I don't know how many big YouTubers have gotten this wrong. A lot of them have. A lot of them said we're going to pull back. A lot of them, and we run. A lot of them say we run and we pull back. So, I mean, I'm just trying to be real with you guys, which is telling you guys the variance is high, and I don't know. And so, like, we've been right about some things on my channel, though. Like, we were right when we crashed. We liquidated most of our investments when we crashed earlier this year. Like, before we crashed earlier this year in December and January, we liquidated most of our investments. And then we ended up buying back into at a certain point. And so we've been correct about a lot of stuff, but this is one of those situations where I don't know. I don't know what we do here. Depends on a lot of things. Depends on earnings. We're in earnings season now. Depends on market reactions to earnings too. Because this week, next week, the week after that, we got big earnings. Not just that, this is a busy month because we have big earnings. An example of this is on July 30th. On July 30th, we have Meta, Microsoft, Robinhood, ARM, Carvana, Applied Digital, Ford, MGM, and Allstate earnings and more, right? We also have the Fed meeting a couple hours prior to that. So we got the Fed meeting followed by big earnings in the afternoon. All right. And so that's a lot of volatility that can bring us in a lot of different ways, and so you just got to be careful here. That's a lot of volatility. So just be careful. What's up, B? What's up, Dan? Sam? What's up, bro? I think for the most part, anything above the 766 hasn't retested. It'll come back to retest today. 766 and what? DCA until you run out of money. I mean, if you run out of money DCA, you don't know how to DCA. You know what I mean? Like, a reasonable DCA strategy would be like, hey, I'm going to add $300 every month to my investments, And so, I could pull my handy calculator out. Not that I really need to. But every 6 months, that's $1,800, right? That's less than $4,000 a year DCA strategy. But over the long run, like over decades, those positions are probably going to do really, really, really well over time, right? But the point is, you shouldn't be running out of money DCAing into things. That's if you do, you're doing it wrong, and you're not really managing your investments correctly. Just to put this into perspective, like if you run out of money trying to DCA, you're not doing it right. Watch and see if this head and shoulders on the 15-minute chart is going to break down. Yeah, I'm kind of regretting not buying this level that we had. We had this level well before anything. There's 23,000 right below us, so I'm looking for that as well for sure. Yes. Well, no, DCAing would be like I'm buying. The definition of DCAing, Sam, is to make periodic buys regardless of price in specific time intervals, right? That's what dollar cost averaging is. That's averaging, over time. It should be regardless of price. And so if you're buying $300-$400 every month, that's specific time intervals, regardless of price, that's DCA. And so if you're running out of money, you're not doing it right. Yeah, so Sam, it's all love. It certainly does not have to be a specific amount of shares. It has to be a specific amount of money. Like if you look up the definition of dollar cost averaging, it says, quote, it's an investment strategy where a fixed amount of money is invested at regular intervals regardless of price. Right? So it's not shares necessarily, because shares change. Like how many shares you buy fluctuates. It's averaging in price. And so, yeah. The point of DCAing is to reduce volatility as well, right? So like market goes down, you buy some, market goes up, you buy some. If it's a good asset, you're going to make money over time doing it. You can do it however you want to do it, but it's all love. It doesn't matter either way. Either way would probably be fine. Point is, you shouldn't run out of money doing it. It's a good conversation to have for the stream. The point is, you shouldn't run out of money doing it. Honestly, Sam, I think it's probably both ways, though, brother. Yesterday, I had CPI inflation data show up lower than expected, but higher than last time in most places, right? So, regular headline CPI showed up as expected for the most part at 2.7% on the year and 0.3% on the month. Core CPI showed up lower than expected at 0.2% versus 0.3% month over month for core, and what was it for regular? I think it was like 0.1% under the expected number, but better than expected. We also have the NBA 30-year mortgage rate showing up this morning. It showed up at 6.82%. So the 30-year mortgage rate data showed higher than expected interest rates for 30-year mortgages. That's 6.82 versus 6.77 last time. That showed up about 30 minutes ago. We also just had what just dropped? We also just had Goldman Sachs release earnings. Let's look at Goldman Sachs here, GS. Goldman Sachs is up pretty big from their earnings drop at 714s. They showed up at 1091. They expected 951 for Goldman Sachs. Revenue of 14.58 billion. We also had Morgan Stanley just release their earnings. Don't do it, Sam. Don't do it. Morgan Stanley at 213 EPS versus 195 expected. We'll put both of these up in chat right here. They just dropped. Goldman Sachs reacting positively to earnings. Morgan Stanley reacting slightly negative here, but Morgan Stanley beat EPS by a smaller margin, but still beat it. Revenue showed up at 16.8 versus 15.93 in revenue expectations. Goldman showed up much better than expected everywhere, and they are reacting very positively to it. They're at almost 715 here for Goldman Sachs. So bank earnings beat EPS, beat revenue. You can see both of them in the chat right now. What did he DCA into, Bjorn? Right, exactly. Hey, what's up, Dan? My guy, what's up, dude? Hey, appreciate the love, guys. All right. Yeah, bank earnings were good. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America up pretty big. Good data releases here. What was he DCAing into? Let me ask AI this. Did Newton go broke DCA? And if so, what was he DCAing into? Let's see what AI has to say about this. All right. Yes, Isaac Newton famously lost a significant portion of his wealth in the South Sea bubble, but to be precise, he didn't go broke due to DCAing in the modern sense. However, his behavior resembled what we describe as averaging into a speculative asset during a mania, end quote. All right, so Newton bought South Sea Company stock early and made good profit. He was smart enough to sell and walk away. As the price soared into the bubble, Newton re-entered at much higher prices, putting in more money. The bubble collapsed shortly after, and Newton ended up losing around 20,000 euros, equivalent to several $1 million today. So basically, Newton did go broke averaging into something. His issue is that he was averaging into a penny stock. And so while the penny stock ended up running, eventually the bubble burst and the penny stock crashed, and he lost a large sum of money, especially at the time. 20,000. That's like multi-million dollars today. So whoever said that comment, you were correct. But don't be like Newton. We're not talking about penny stocks here, guys. We are talking about indices. Nasdaq, S&P, Dow. They might crash tomorrow for all I know. And we're not talking about DCAing big money into them. We are talking about we are talking about long-term dollar cost averaging, small amounts of money, monthly or whatever you want to do there. But we are not talking about speculative pump and dumps or penny stocks, which is Newton's issue. Point is, if you invest in some super speculative asset and you're up big, in my opinion, again, not an investment professional, but in my opinion, you better liquidate and ride off into the sunset wealthier, you know. Don't keep averaging into it. We're talking about, when I say DCA into stuff, I'm talking about the Nasdaq, the S&P, the Dow, broad market ETFs that average 10% a year over the last century plus, you know. Gold bullish or bearish? Let's see where gold's at today. Yeah, Nvidia slightly red. The Nasdaq's coming back down a little bit. It's testing 23,000 right now. Gold looks a little elevated this morning with the market going down, but it's not much. Gold's up a little bit today, not a huge amount, but up some. Might buy this actually here. We're right at 23,000. And we are in a challenge account right now, so I can kind of play with 23K. Average into it, I think. We are in right here at the 200 exponential for this one. And again, this is a challenge account, so we're going to trade a little bit more risk, a little bit less risk averse in this one. I want maybe 15 contracts here. We're already up $1,500 in this account too, so we got 11. I'd like a little bit more, but I guess I'll wait. Where's Bitcoin at today? So gold. Bitcoin up to 119, still close to highs. All right, so now's the time we're going to add. All right, there we go. We're in 15 micros, equivalent to about 1.5 Nasdaq contracts. We're basically flat right now. Let's see if we get a pop up higher here. There we go. Looks good. Let's see if he keeps going higher. Like, we're right at 23,000. That's a pretty big milestone level, big whole dollar level. So I'm trying to be patient enough to let this work a little bit. The profit target's going to be up here at 8. But we also are ahead of PPI inflation data, so, you know. Wait, don't we have some more earnings coming out today? Let me see. We got 7:35 Morgan Stanley's already out. Okay, yeah. They both released a little bit early. I don't really like it testing this 23,000 unless it gets a big bounce back. I don't really like this at all. I'm going to start to cut it. I'm trying to be patient with it. I got 5 left, but we cut most of it, and so it's going to be less than $100 loss on a challenge account here, but maybe a little bit more. But I wanted to play this 2,000 level. Now that we're under the 200 exponential, the only way I'll rebuy this is if it bounces all the way back up over this level and then pulls back to it again. Then I might be rebuy it, but I'll wait for that. Ferrari? How's Ferrari doing? I like Ferraris. I like Lamborghinis a little bit more, though. I like Lamborghinis and McLarens a little bit more. I was talking to somebody about it. I would never buy a Bugatti. Bugatti's just too expensive. Not unless I'm Jeff Bezos or something. I think gold's going to have its pullback eventually as well. Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people told me to buy gold at 2K, and maybe I should have, but gold's been on a big run. You know. And so gold, I think, is one of those ones that you want to DCA into as well. You give better advice than most professionals. I don't even know what advice is, bro. Not an investment professional. Nothing here is financial advice. The reality of it is, it's very easy to make money long term in markets. So look, we did get this rebound all the way back up here to 23,000. Got some buying pressure show up. The reality is, it's really easy to make money short term. Or long term, not short term. Short term is very difficult to make money. Long term is very easy. All you have to do is essentially not get emotional and sell on 30% dips. Average into it if you want a higher percentage chance of making money long term. Don't buy penny stocks. You know, you can buy mid caps, but it needs to be a super tiny percentage of your portfolio, and just buy blue chip healthy companies and indexes. Right? That's it. That's all you got to do. Long term, sit on that long term. Don't sell. The reason people use money professionals is because, you know, okay, in order to make money long term, you can't really touch it. You have to leave it alone. Like, if you want to make those compounding gains over decades, you have to leave it alone. You can't make 20% and be like, oh, I'm a genius, let me take profit, right? Instead, you got to just sit. I'm not telling you what to do. Market might crash tomorrow. Do not copy me, okay? I'm not telling you what to do. Market might crash tomorrow. Do not copy me. Not an investment professional. Don't copy me. With that said, though, the reason most people miss out on bigger compounding gains is because they make 20% and they're like, oh, I'm going to take profit, and then they get out. And then the market keeps going up and up and up and up and up over time. Over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the market just keeps going higher and higher and higher, and they liquidated their positions. Instead, if you want those big compounding gains, you just got to sit in it. You just got to leave it alone. You either got to leave it alone or add to it over time. And, you know, that's the reason a lot of people should be using like money managers. Like, not me, but like financial professionals. That's the reason a lot of people should be using them, is because they're going to take that aspect away from it. they're going to make it so that you can't touch it. You know, or at least it's not as easy to, it's less liquid. It's not as easy to sell, because then you got to call your manager, and your manager's is probably going to talk you out of it or whatever. Because the real way you make those compounding games is just by leaving it alone. You know, 20% is cool. 200% is cooler. You know, 2,000% is even cooler than that. And so you just got to leave it alone. Let the gains compound themselves. And yeah. All right. Anyways, not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. Don't sue me, guys. Not an investment professional. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't copy me. I know there'll be a recession somewhere, most likely within the decade. I would DCA once the dip happens. Yeah, I mean, people that bought the dip earlier this year did really, really well. Because we eventually came back to all-time highs. So I definitely think I'm over 10,000 hours of trading and watching markets. I don't know, let's say how many streams I would need to have. I've got about 2,300 streams, maybe more at this point in time. I've got about almost 3,000 streams. Each stream is 3 to 4 hours. It's about 10,000 hours. I don't even have to look at it. It's about 10,000. So, and that's not even including the time I spend outside the stream doing it. So I'd say it's about 10K hours at this point. But I'm not an expert. I'm really not. I think you're always learning, you know. Why are Dow futures ripping up? Goldman Sachs, maybe. Other earnings. Johnson & Johnson expects the second half of the year operational sales growth higher than the first half, according to presentation. We had Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley earnings. No, I don't hold futures overnight. Actually, you're doing way better than the other not dumb paid crypto promote thing like that. I mean, I promote things. I try not to promote things in the first 2 hours. You better believe I've got a sponsor or two, though, just because I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm doing this to make money. Like, I mean, aren't we all here to try to make money? You know? And so if y'all were me, y'all would be doing this to make money too. Nobody's here out of the kindness of their heart. So I have sponsors, you know, of course I do. I'm not here. I don't just like teaching, guys. But I appreciate it. But I try not to plug anything in the first hour or two. Yeah, the data's not out yet. We still have 45 minutes until PPI inflation drops. So, John the Kind? Yeah. That's my new nickname. Nvidia, chat. Creeping up there. Apple, slightly green. AMD, slightly red. Meta, slightly green. Google, slightly green. Microsoft, slightly red. Netflix flat. ASML is the big stock that's down today from earnings. Bad outlook and guidance for ASML. They're down to 765s this morning in pre-market. What's your favorite stock? Long term? I don't know. I would say it's between... I have like a favorite 5 stocks, and they're mostly just Mag 7 stocks. But I think Apple's solid. I think, not an investment professional, but I think Apple's solid. I think Nvidia's solid. I think Google's solid. Those are probably my top 3. Apple, Nvidia, Google. I think those are the ones that have the highest percentage chance to, you know, do well long term. Just because... just because I think we're going to see exponential growth in AI. See, I should have held the position. I wanted 23,008. My dip buy would have been right here. And look at that resistance. Tap. We just tapped my level here. Oh, well. It's all right. We lost $100, so it could be worse. Amazon's good, too. I like Amazon as well. Where do you see Palantir going to? Palantir, the PE ratio is ridiculous right now, but it's still, I think it's still a good company. It might need to cool down to catch up with its PE ratio, but still, I still like the company. I'm not saying it's going to go up. I have no idea, but yeah. Yeah, I think Amazon's good as well. I like most of the Mag 7 stocks right now. You just got to pay attention to the market to see if anything changes there. Amazon is something in which a large majority of the country uses them on a regular basis, and to a certain extent has become dependent on Amazon. And I think that's obviously very good for their business, of course. Look at this level hold here, this 08 level. This was my profit target originally. We should have held it, but it's all right. Results for what? All the earnings are basically out today. ASML missed EPS, beat revenue. Bank of America beat EPS, beat revenue. Essentially, Goldman Sachs and Bank of America reported well. Morgan Stanley failed to impress, and ASML went down on bad guidance. But yeah, Goldman Sachs beat EPS, beat revenue. Johnson & Johnson beat EPS, beat revenue. Morgan Stanley beat EPS, beat revenue. They almost all beat EPS, beat revenue. Still waiting for Progressive at 820 and Prologis at 8. A couple other small ones too, but I'm not here for money. I'm here for vibes. Hey, that's what I'm here for too, I guess. All right, sorry to hear that, Seth. I'm up 512% on my LEU investment from last year. AMD at 155s. We got a bunch of stuff tomorrow, too. It's honestly a pretty busy week. It's weird. Next week, we have nothing, though. Like, next week's another boring week, and then the week after that's freaking crazy. What do we have next week, though? We should have some earnings next week, right? This week, we got some earnings. I think we got Netflix tomorrow, don't we? We have Taiwan Semiconductors early in the morning tomorrow, and then we have Netflix in the evening. Yeah. We got 3M, Amex, SLB, Schwab, Ally, and more bank stocks on Friday. Next week, we should have a bunch of earnings, no? Verizon. Lockheed Martin. Okay, so yeah, we got Tesla and Google Wednesday. Look at the Nasdaq rip. Ugh. Should have held. So yeah, the next Mag 7 earnings is going to be Wednesday, July 23rd. We also have, I think, the speech from the president about chips. He said he was going to do a speech on the 23rd about chips. But we got Tesla, Google, IBM, Chipotle, and more. Thursday, we got airlines, Nokia, Blackstone, Nasdaq, Centerpoint. And then Intel in the evening. Still not big enough to really... Nothing on Friday. And then remember, tomorrow we got jobless claims, retail sales, Philly Fed Index, business inventories, and more. And then we got building permit and housing starts on Friday. Michigan consumer sentiment. What do you guys think about gold? Is it long or short? I mean, I think long-term gold's going to go up, of course. Short-term, who knows? But long-term is going to go up. All right, if we get a dip down there, 23,008. I might buy that. We still got 40 minutes left until PPI inflation, but we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green candles in a row now. Yeah, I see the volume has been a little bit less in terms. It could be the summer. I also think it's probably. I think YouTube got rid of the bots, which is good. I think YouTube got rid of the bots. Does today's PPI inflation data come in higher or lower? We asked. 47% think higher, 25% think lower, 28% think as expected. So are SPACs making headlines again? So Bank of America CFO says we expect to see loan growth in a mid-single-digit %. Tesla files for a 6-seater new model in China. All right, so we're still looking for a pullback here. We got to watch ASML, NVIDIA. NVIDIA now technically green on the day. It's driving the Nasdaq higher. So this move on the Nasdaq is mostly driven by NVIDIA here. I could buy this dip because NVIDIA is right here at the previous closing price. It broke over the previous close, and now it's trying again. You know what? I'm going to buy this here. Maybe a little early, but that's okay. I want to see if NVIDIA pops back up and drags this higher. We're going to keep it small, though. There we go. We need NVIDIA to bounce at this previous close and then make a move higher here. 35 minutes before PPI inflation data. Again, PPI is expected at 0.2%. 0.2% month over month. Not up very much here, but there we go. All right, we're going to take half of that off, or at least a piece of that here. We got exactly what we wanted here, which was a small bounce. And again, we were basically looking at NVIDIA's previous closing price hold here. Now that we're at the top of that range, we're going to start to cover most of the rest. We'll cut it right there. A little scalp. Not really looking for too much here, but small gains. Again, NVIDIA, we're basically looking for... NVIDIA's driving this move. And we got the previous closing price right here. So when NVIDIA breaks over this and then pulls back to that previous closing price, we're looking for like a little bounce back up. And that's why we bought it here and looked for a little bounce on the Nasdaq, if that makes sense. That's the trade idea for anybody wondering. All right, so U.S. money center banks are expecting to be among 3 potential borrowers considering U.S. dollar bonds on Wednesday, according to Bloomberg, citing a survey of debt underwriters. This is Citigroup, J.P. Morgan, and Wells Fargo, who reported earnings yesterday and are prime candidates to raise fresh capital in the U.S. high-grade primary market today. Both Citigroup and Wells Fargo have already announced Euro deals this morning. Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley all released their results today, with Morgan Stanley a possible candidate this morning as the U.S. markets open. Yeah. That's from Newswires this morning, chat. So let's see where highs are today. Market opened up here. We got the highs of the day at about 45.50 or so. So 45's up here. This is about the high of the day right around here. So we're watching for it. Again, we got PPI inflation data in 33 minutes. Yeah, I usually tell people if it's a combine account or a funded account. Sometimes I'll trade my combine accounts a little early, especially like this, and then trade my funded accounts later, closer to the bell. But again, I don't even claim to be a good trader. Don't claim to be an expert. That's not really what we are. We're mostly covering breaking news, but we'll trade live for everybody. But yeah, we're just a different thing. We're not really trying to sell a course or anything like that. How do I look up how many days Apple closed green or red for the year? I mean, I'm not sure, Jose, but I think that is a useless percentage, or that's a useless data point, to be honest, because it doesn't matter how many days it closed red or green. It matters how green and how red those days were, if that makes sense, right? So like we can look up how many times Apple's closed red or how many times Apple's closed green. I think a more relevant stat is how much they've closed red or green and what their percentage increase or decrease is on the year. You know, what their PE ratio is as well. There's a lot better metrics than that one, in my opinion. But it's all love. It doesn't matter, you know. Dude, what's really weird, I've had like my eye has been like jumpy. Yeah. I need to start taking magnesium at night, AI says. It's weird. It's like twitching right here, like right below my eye. It's very strange. It's been like this for weeks now, though. Yeah. AI said I need magnesium as well. Thank you for more info. Yes, just trying to figure out my angle. All good, brother. Very long term, I see AI a lose-lose situation. Yeah, that might be good, David. That's probably a good one. Hey, all Genius Act procedurals. Yeah, exactly, Junior. 100%. You got to know how much they were green, how much they were red, not just if they were red or green. If they were red or green, it's relatively useless because we could be red more than green, but still be up huge if the percentages on the green days were much higher than the percentages on the red, if that makes sense, right? That's why it's kind of a useless stat, in my opinion. I would look for some other stats to confirm. But again, not an investment professional. All right, look at this big pullback here. Let's see if there's a reason for this. That's 8 a.m. It's the 8 a.m. dip right now. We did have some earnings show up at 8 a.m. Let's see what it was. Prologis should have just showed up. They posted 61 cents versus 65 cents expected. 146 adjusted FFO per share, adjusted EBITDA of 1.789 billion. PLD is the company. They're not really reacting negatively to this though. Still gotta wait for PGR Progressive earnings today. But look at the 8 a.m. scrum dip. I don't think we had any other data come out at 8 a.m. that might drag the market down. No, not really. We got Barkin speaking right now. I don't know what he's speaking on, but yeah, we got 30 minutes left, chat. What's up, Sharp? Part of me wants to buy the dip here. And again, this is a challenge account right now. I'm not really confident enough to trade my actual funded account right now. There we go. Just in time. Maybe not though, and there's a pullback. Might add some more to this. There we go. We got 23,000 underneath us. I think 23,000 is going to keep being a pretty big support level. Oh, I didn't mean to buy this. I wanted 15. We got 17 now, but that's all right, I guess. Hewlett Packard enters cooperative agreement with Elliott, including file sharing. Yeah, I mean, we're down here, but it keeps chopping back and forth. There we go. That's better, but it seems to hold. Okay. It held enough. There we go. That's good. Take some more off here. Down to 5 contracts now. I'll leave it sitting here. I could hold the rest break even. I could add back on a dip. I think I like adding back. I want to add back to this 08 level is what I want to do. Nvidia continues to bounce too off the previous closing price. Look at that right there at 170.70. But market's come back down. We're still green on the trade. But I'm going to add back, I think, down here. Just going to average in around 23.08. Close enough to 23 where I like it, but you also could have a big sentiment change here. And again, I'm going to trade a little bit different on this one because it's a challenge account. And, you know, we're going to be a lot more risky here with these accounts for sure. I like this retracement, though. Try to just be patient with it. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Chase came out early this morning. Or Chase came out yesterday, actually. I think they did good. I think they reacted well to it, if I remember correctly. They reacted somewhat well. There we go. All right, we took off half of this just to lock it in, and we could take off. We could let the rest ride. We'll probably hold the rest break even now. Maybe take 2 more and then hold that break even. Yeah, I like that more. There we go. All right, we're going to take some more off here. Looks good. Start liquidating most of the rest. Got to bounce exactly where I wanted it. We'll cut that right there. All right, so pretty good. Nice little bounce. Nvidia's driving higher. It's at 171s. So Nvidia is about to hit this level, this 171 level. So I wanted to cut it there just in case it pulls back here. But who knows what it's going to do. I'm not saying it's going to pull back, but that's kind of the idea is I wanted to cut it before it does. Yeah, does PPI come in higher or low? 48% of the voters out of about 650 votes said higher. PPI inflation data. Let me know if you guys agree. Yeah, all good, Jose. No worries, brother. All right, Nvidia, though, just ripped past this 171 level. Look at that. As expected, maybe 27% of people that voted would agree with you there. Yeah, Bitcoin's still doing good. Lower, I called it, timestamp it, I'll remember. Microsoft is the next $4 trillion company. Microsoft had a pretty good day at the open yesterday. I didn't really track it for the rest of the day. Yeah, Microsoft ripped up all day yesterday and then gapped down pretty significantly in pre-market. So it's down to 505. Hey, shout out to Rusty for the $20 donation. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. This is your third super on a live stream. So shout out to Rusty, my guy. Thanks so much, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you. Where's oil at this morning? Oil is low. It's at 65.60s right now. I didn't see it. Explain it to me, Pew. Looks like we got out of the Nasdaq right around the top here, which is good. Top 3 non-predictive predictions. Can you put up Bitcoin? Yeah. Bitcoin's edging higher this morning. So. Hey, y'all hit that like and subscribe button, chat. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate you guys. Bank of America CEO says Bank of America clients see clarity with changes in tariffs and trade. Software rate should have been 4.37% versus 4.33% in July, higher. July 14th, higher. Again, Tesla did file for a 6-seater new model in China. Taking a look at Tesla this morning. Tesla up to 313. It's looking very green with Nvidia. So Tesla and Nvidia are the blue chip runners this morning. Look at Tesla go higher, 313s now. So Tesla creeping up. We got 20 minutes left. We got about 1,000 here. Y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. All right, guys, we tapped 22s. Still creeping up. We're at 21s, 22s. Nvidia at 171s. Excuse me. Coughing a little bit. We're at 21s right now. Nasdaq's pushing higher. Nvidia's pushing higher. Tesla's pushing higher. Microsoft's down a lot this morning. Why is Microsoft down this morning? Also, Bank of America CEO says clients are continuing to see clarity with changes in trade and the tax bill passage, seeing an understanding of the future, and clients are behaving accordingly. How vague. Airbus is going to team up with Kratos Defense, deploying German mission systems. I haven't pulled up Discord yet, Paul. My bad, dude. Let me pull it up. Look at the Nasdaq rise here. Let's watch 25 level. It's right here, 25s. Okay, so I see a question about PPI data. So it measures the change over time in price domestic producers receive for their goods and services, right? It's essentially like wholesale inflation is what this is. A lot of people are going to argue it's a more important inflation metric. Look at this 25 level. A lot of people are going to argue it's a more important inflation metric. It's the cost businesses pay before those costs are passed on to consumers. So it tracks price changes at the producer level before reaching consumers, which CPI is retail and consumer prices, just to put it in perspective. Yesterday's data is retail and consumer prices. If PPI is high or rising quickly, it suggests upstream inflation, which may lead to higher CPI down the line. It pushes the Fed's reserve toward tightening or restrictive cycles, boosts the US dollar, pushes bond yields higher because of higher interest rates, and hurts stocks a lot of the time, especially growth and tech stocks. Higher than expected PPI may drop markets due to fear, and lower might boost markets due to optimism, but it's never given. I would say PPI inflation is a lot more volatile in terms of the reaction that we get. Like generally, lower CPI is good. Lower PPI can sometimes have differing reactions. What we do know is that higher PPI is going to make yields spike, and weak PPI will probably make yields fall. If PPI shows rising input prices, commodity prices might go down too. So, all right, guys. So we ripped over that 25 level. Still going higher. All right, guys. We got 18 minutes. Yeah, I don't see any direct quotes from Powell yesterday. I see some people asking about Powell. All right, so we're at 25. Let's see if we bounce here. Yeah, so Jerome Powell did not speak yesterday. No transcripts, official comments from him. No press conference, speeches, or interviews. So, no evidence, of course, that he spoke yesterday that I'm seeing. Higher means higher inflation, which is not generally going to make indices go up on average. You never freaking know, but... yeah. What's up, Sam? Excited today. Could we see gold drop today if PPI comes in high? You could. You also might see gold go up just because higher PPI means higher inflation. And what do people hedge against inflation with? Gold. All right, so we did bounce at this 25 level. We ripped past it, and then we bounced right at it. We're still heading up now. We're almost up to 36. Look at this. Tesla just broke highs of the day again. Nvidia's testing highs of the day again. So Nvidia, Tesla running big into this PPI inflation report. My thumbnail doesn't say anything. What are y'all talking about? My thumbnail literally says inflation data. Nothing else. Look, don't treat me like I'm Jerome Powell. Look, I don't wear ties. I'm not trying to give signals here. I'm gonna start wearing a purple shirt every day. Go Tigers. All right, we're at 31s right now. 31s. What do you think of UNH earnings? I think UNH has had a very tough year. UNH is down from 560s to 290s this year, under $300 now. Big percentage drops. Tough year. Now, maybe it's a buy the dip scenario for UNH. I'd rather buy it than short it right now, but I also think it could just be a dumpster fire and keep coming down, so I don't know. That's right, Jamie. My guy. My LSU fan shows up every time I say it. Thank you, Jamie. Go Tigers. National champions this year. You're welcome. You know, gifting you guys with baseball skills. Papa John. Yeah. Yeah, I have a nickname in my family. It's Win Papa. It's because I try to win at everything. I'm not a parent that lets my kid win at video games. You know, I'll put it that way. They got to earn that. Nvidia at 171s right now. So let's see if it holds 171. Nasdaq's over 25. MicroStrategy likely to break out today. It depends on if Bitcoin runs. MicroStrategy could. It depends on if Bitcoin runs, though. All right. Let's see if we pull back. Nasdaq's running. Tesla and Nvidia are big runners today. We got 11 minutes before PPI inflation data. 11 minutes, chat. Hey, that's the record, Enrico. Congrats, man. That's great. Go Cougars. I don't know. If you know, you know. I don't know. I'm going to sell as soon as the news drops. Testing my luck. Good luck, Ghost. I hope you're wrong, and I hope the market goes up, but I wish you the best. Somehow, I hope you make money from that, too, at the same time. Oh, Houston? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm from Louisiana. I live in Houston, but, you know. I support the Astros. Hey, good luck, A. All right, guys, give me your last-minute predictions. We got 11 minutes, a little bit less than 11 minutes, really about 10 minutes left. MicroStrategy. Yeah, it's up. It's gapping up today. Up to almost 450s. Where's all-time highs for MicroStrategy? 456? Is that right? No, 543s. So it's still got a ways. We're up to 313s on Tesla. Nvidia up to 171s. These are driving markets. Microsoft might be also to... Microsoft's not really green. Amazon, not really green. Meta's slightly green. Google's up to 184s. John, you're funny in the chillest way. That makes sense. Oh, well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, I guess. Funny haha, or, you know. All right, so we're at 2331s. Brother, you going to go to the UFC event this weekend? No. No, I'm not. Listen, I love Louisiana, and it's all love here, but I don't want to go to New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans enough in my life. I've been to Bourbon Street. I've been to Bourbon Street enough in my life, brother. I don't really want to go right now. I'm too old for Bourbon Street, dude. Like, I'm too old. You know. I'm not trying to go there. I've been there enough in my life. I've had my fun. I don't feel like going there right now. My puts are gonna lose money in the morning, but the vibes here are great. Hey, that's nice, man. What are you shorting? Yeah, that's definitely true pawn. Who you got, Poirier or Holloway? My heart says Poirier, but I think it'll be close. But I want Poirier to win. I want the Louisiana guy to win. All right, NVIDIA, pull it back. Let me talk about PPI inflation data today. Let's talk about it. Yeah, so let's talk about PPI inflation data. Again, PPI is wholesale inflation, chat. Wholesale inflation drops in 7 minutes roughly. It's expected to show a 0.2% month-over-month increase. Headline and core both have 0.2% month-over-month, signaling price pressure at the factory after May's slower gains. Analysts are specifically watching, the same as yesterday, for tariff-related upticks in price in sectors like furnishings, metals, electronics, all likely to reflect tariff increases. A hotter than expected PPI would reinforce the Fed's data-dependent, cautious approach, likely cooling optimism around rate cuts this year. So if we get high inflation for PPI data, it might push back rate odds a little bit at least. We'll see, though. We'll see. A surprise upside of PPI might push 10-year treasuries higher and strengthen the dollar, and vice versa. Dow, Nasdaq futures are pretty choppy today. Google up, NVIDIA up, Tesla up this morning, rising on everything. Bond yields are higher. They're almost at 4.5% for the 10-year treasury yields. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan have all released earnings in the last few days. Most of them beat EPS, beat revenue, but some of them had cautious outlook, and so they reacted negatively to some of these, but mostly positive reactions here. This morning, the big stock that's gapping down is ASML. ASML down to 750s. Beat EPS, beat revenue, I think, but it had bad guidance and cautious outlook, so it's gapping down. It's at 756 right now, chat, 756. Yeah. So this is a big report, guys. We have just over 5 minutes left. Hey, what's up, Femi? Everybody, I like everybody understood my Goodfellas joke. So, hey, shout out to you guys. Do you think the news will be bearish or bullish? I have no idea. Okay, Jamie, I got you, bro. I'll check it out. I like hot dogs. Nasdaq 100 push up, then down after the news. Maybe. Hey, what's up, Lolita? I'm sure the Fed would love inflation to increase to give them a reason to not reduce rates. I don't know if they would love it. I think they want to be right, and I think higher inflation data proves them somewhat correct, right? And I think that, and to a certain extent, I believe you're correct in that they might even subconsciously want inflation to uptick a little bit so they can validate their own decisions. And I think that's true, probably. Chili cheese is the hot dog move, you know. All right, Nasdaq dipping down, NVIDIA pulling back here. Tesla, small little micro pullback. AMD pushing up, still red on the day though. SBAT will crash when market opens due to the pattern of MicroStrategy today. PPI going to be hot, unfortunately. It might be. We'll see. That's what a lot of people expect, though. Sometimes we do the opposite of expectations. We got 4 minutes left, 4 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. If you always want to be caught up, put it in 2x speed. Put it in 2 times speed. You'll catch up to the stream. 2x speed. All right. So we got a little dip ahead of PPI inflation data. We got 4 minutes exactly left. Put it in 2x speed. Hit the live button next to the play button. We're going to cover this as soon as it drops right here. As soon as it comes out, we're ready. 4 minutes, chat. We had NBA 30-year mortgage rate show up at 6.82% this morning, higher than the 6.77% expected. Bank of America CFO Alistar says tariff-related uncertainty remains. He said companies are looking past tariffs for strategic movement. All right. All right. Yeah, so core PPI is another one. It's expected. We got core regular month over month are going to be the biggest ones. Be ready. All right, guys, here we go. We got 2 minutes left. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. We appreciate it. 2 minutes left. Nasdaq's been dipping down a little bit. Remember, PPI is wholesale inflation. Chat, this is wholesale inflation, inflation for wholesale. Eventually, it could get passed on to consumers. This is an early look at inflation. Could get passed on to CPI eventually. Everybody's watching to see if the tariff effects are going to finally kick in. We got 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Yeah, we got 1.5 minutes left, chat. If bad news, NVIDIA crash will be free fall from the top. I don't know if it's going to affect NVIDIA like that. It might, but I like the setup. We bounced on major support. Yeah, I mean, we're under 23.25, but we're over 23,000 on the NQ. We got almost 1 minute left, chat. Yeah, all good, Mark. Still data dependent, maybe. All right, guys, here we go. A little bit over 1 minute left. Not much, though. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. You won't be lagged behind the stream. Be ready. We got 2,000 here right now. Subscribe. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. If NVIDIA drops, great. Yeah, I mean, long-term NVIDIA is probably pretty solid. 50 seconds, chat. 50 seconds. 45 seconds. Hit the like button next to the play button. Help support the stream. We got 25 seconds left. 30 seconds left, really. 30 seconds. All right, here we go. Let's see what we get. I'm ready for it. We got about 20 seconds left, chat. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's the PPI report. Timer is exactly right. Housing starts. PPI showed up at 2.6% for core, 2.3% for regular, lower than expected, 0% month over month, 2.3% year over year, 2.6% for core year over year, and 0% for core PPI month over month. So way better than expected almost everywhere. 0% versus 0.2% expected. Core PPI showed 0% versus 0.2% expected. Wow. Way better than expected. Way better than expected. Nasdaq's flying up again, 0% versus 0.2% month over month expected. Wow. Way better than expected. 2.6% on the year for core and 2.3% on the year for regular. Way better than expected here, chat. Way better. Nasdaq's pushing up as it should be right now. Honestly, genuinely, way better than expected. 0% for PPI month over month. Core PPI 0% month over month. Core PPI year over year 2.6 versus 2.7. Core PPI or regular PPI headline PPI year over year 2.3 versus 2.5%. So this is lower than last time and lower than expected everywhere. Lower than last time, lower than expected everywhere, chat. Genuinely good here for PPI inflation data. Genuinely good. Here, I'll put this data up on screen, but genuinely good. Good data here. 0%. Wow. Year over year, 2.3%. Core year over year, 2.6%. So genuinely good here. Wow. Here, I'll put this data up on screen. 0% month over month for US PPI versus 0.2% expected. Core 0% versus 0.2% expected. Core and regular showed up exactly as expected here. I'll put this data up on screen as well as in the chat right now. 0% here, chat, for everything. There's the data on screen. I'll put it up on chat now. But wow, very good. Very good data. Yeah, the data is up on screen right now. We'll put it in the middle. Look at that data. Nasdaq's pumping higher as it should be, and Nvidia is up to over 171s now. AMD's trying. You can look at gold here, which is probably going down. Yeah, gold going down on more optimism. We can take a look at the 10-year Treasury yields right now. 10-year Treasuries decreasing, showing a lower interest rate sentiment with more inflation control here. And markets are mostly really positive here. So it doesn't mean yesterday's data is wrong. Okay, so again, PPI inflation is kind of like... Okay, wholesale inflation eventually gets passed on to consumers. Yesterday was consumer prices, but you could argue that PPI being lower signals data might get lower, prices might get passed on to consumers soon, right? Like that's the argument with PPI. That's why the market's reacting favorably here. Again, let's take a look at 10-year Treasury yields. I want to see what they're doing. You can see they're decreasing here. They're at 4.45% versus 4.7% earlier. But yeah, that's basically the argument here. Like, look, here's 10-year Treasuries. They're going down on this report. And remember, yields like this and interest rates follow each other. So this is showing a lower interest rate sentiment for yields. Yields decreasing, optimism reigning from this report is what this is. So better than expected inflation data, for sure. What do you guys think of this? Yeah, we can take a deeper look at PPI inflation report. But yeah, this is all better than expected here. So producer prices for final demand unchanged in June, seasonally adjusted. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported final demand prices increased 0.3% in May, declined 0.3% in April. Prices for final demand, core food and energy unchanged in June after inching up 0.1% in May. So yeah, 0% for a lot of categories. Final demand goods rose 0.3% in June, the largest increase since moving up 0.3% in February. Over half of the broad-based advance in June can be traced to the index for final demand goods, less food and energy, which climbed 0.3%. Prices for final demand energy and final demand food also rose 0.6%, 0.2% respectively. Let me yeah, look at bond yields fall. All right, so overall PPI 0% unchanged. Year over year 2.3%. Annual gain is slowing. 0.3% month over month for final goods. Final demand for goods, largest since February, driven by broad-based gains, including communication, gas, home electric, poultry, meats, and tree nuts. Final demand for services decreased 0.1% month over month, decline in transportation, warehouse, travel accommodation, auto parts, and fares, partially offset by higher portfolio management fees. Core, excluding food and energy as well, 0%, staying flat after May's small gain of 0.1%. Processed goods up 0.1%, led by energy good increase. Unprocessed goods up 0.7%, driven by energy material increase. Services, again, 0.1% decline month over month. This shows stable wholesale inflation. No headline PPI gain suggests cooling upstream pressures. Goods inflation remains present with intermediate and final goods rising. Input level inflation is still visible. Minor dip in service sector pricing hints at broader softening, and flat core PPI weakens the case for near-term rate hike, supports current market expectations for delayed cuts. And And so that is the breakdown here. I'm going to put this up on x.com at beginner trades if you want a breakdown of this, the breakdown of this report. All right, so we're going to break this all down here. But yeah, better than expected data here for sure. Core, pretty good as well. Yeah, so wholesale play pressure is doing better. And eventually this might get passed on the consumers here. Nasdaq pumping higher at 23.75 right now. You can take a look at Nvidia up there to 171.50s here. All right, so we have it put up on our channel as well, the PPI update here, full breakdown of today's PPI. Yeah, pretty good here, pretty good. Big, beautiful data. Yeah, it's definitely solid. Like, the data is definitely solid for PPI inflation. I mean, again, eventually wholesale prices might get passed on to consumers. And that's good. We also have industrial production numbers and more coming out later. So we got industrial production numbers. We've got even more coming out. Nvidia ripping higher here still. Bond yields falling down. All good things for lower interest rates. Let's take a look at the rate odds have changed here, though. Let's take a look at the rate decisions have changed. So here's rate cuts for July. No increase yet. September, over 50%. Still almost 50% chance of a pause in September, though, which is interesting. We'll see if this slowly changes, though. Like, we'll see if this slowly changes. Right now, we're still over 50% chance of a cut in September, but it's pretty in the middle here. 48.2% likely of a pause in September as well. So it's not looking very probable on either side in terms of polarizing percentage. Yeah, I'm sure the 30-year bonds are probably decreasing, right? TLT down. Weird. I mean, they're different time frames, but TLT should be going, or no, TLT's going up, I'm sorry, and yields are going down. I'm sorry, this is correct. Because, okay, so if bonds get bought up, yields go down and vice versa. And if bonds go down, yields go up, right? So this is the opposite. So bond prices are going up, but the yields, and this is a different time frame yield, but the yields are decreasing. So this is 10-year compared to 30-year, so a slightly different time frame of bonds, but you can see that correlation. So yeah, bond prices are going to be going up right now. Yields are going to be falling because of lower interest rate sentiment, essentially, is what it means. We're not getting rate cuts. Here, look, we're going to do a poll right now in the chat. And the poll is going to say, when does the FOMC cut rates? Is going to be what we're asking. Vote on the poll. We're going to have July, September. We're going to have July, September, October, or December plus. Vote on that poll. That poll is now live. Also, guys, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow. No PDT rule. Costs $50 to get started. If you're good enough to pass it, you can get funded a $50,000 account with a 90% split, and you get to keep your first 10K in profit. If you fail, you're out $50. It's the best of both worlds. Reasonable 2-to-3 ratio to get funded. No PDT rule. Zero commission on Top Step X. Just a lot of great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders are going to lose their first couple accounts. It doesn't make any sense to fund your own account. Try this first. They're an affiliate or sponsor of mine. I'm biased because I get paid by them, but genuinely useful for traders. I'll put the link up in the description as well as in the chat right now if you want to help support the channel. Genuinely useful, though, here. But yeah, great way to help support the channel. Don't copy me. I'm biased. But yeah. We'll see we get some good trades in today. We got a dip here. I almost want to buy this dip because the data's so strong. There's a link right there if you want to check it out. Again, it's an affiliate or sponsor link. I'm biased. But Inflation is increasing in the next month. Yeah, looking at our poll numbers, 18% think July, 50% think September, 15% think October, and 18% think December. I'll tell you this, though, guys. Listen, let me be real. I do not think we're going to cut rates this month in July. I think that's pretty improbable. It's at 2.7% likelihood. You don't want to be one of those traders that think we're going to do something that's 2% likelihood. And I think that percentage will probably get lower and lower as we get closer and closer to this FOMC meeting, even with PPI inflation data. Because again, sometimes the Fed picks and chooses, right? So they're going to isolate yesterday's CPI and say, well, prices are still rising for consumers, even if PPI wholesale inflation showed a little bit cooler aspects of it. And so that's something that we're going to see. That's something that we're probably going to see, is we're going to see the Fed isolate CPI. PPI shows optimism, but I still think we're not going to cut rates in July. And I think it's still not a certainty that we're going to cut rates in October or in September either, to be completely real. And so we'll see, but you never know. You never know. We'll see. Again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell, chat. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Channel's been growing really fun lately. Breakdown PPI. So PPI showed 0% month over month for both core and regular, noticeably lower than expected and not an increase month to month, which is an optimistic sign for wholesale inflation, which does eventually get passed on to consumers. Okay, so this is optimism for both producer wholesale prices as well as future consumer prices is what this means, right? This shows less of a need to raise rates. The argument for rate hikes is virtually done now, right now, at least short term. Could always increase long term if we get worse inflation data next month or the month after or whatever. So you could always this could always change month to month because we get new data every month. But PPI inflation data was softer than expected, cooler than expected. A lot of analysts thought we would see a lot of tariff-related hikes in prices, and we just didn't see that according to this report. More justification to cut rates, less justification to raise rates. Lower treasury yields. You can see it on the bottom right chart. This is treasury yields. Yields go down as lower interest rate sentiment increases, and so this is a lower interest rate sentiment right now, meaning more justification for cuts, more bullish for rate cuts. It doesn't mean we're gonna cut rates, but it's more bullish for rate cut certainty. We have blue chip stocks rising: Nvidia, Tesla, AMD, Apple, everything basically going up from this report, showing optimism. But yeah. If everyone sees what you say, the yields should be down. They are down. Look, here's yields. Right, look, I can zoom in a little bit more here, so check it out. So here is yields right now, chat. These are yields. Yields are decreasing. They're at 4.47%. 4.47%. So I think it's pretty safe to assume analysts are interpreting this and traders and markets are interpreting it how I said the data was, right? Yields are down, showing lower interest rate sentiment. Pretty easy to prove. Look, we're down here right now. Spot on. Thank you. Yeah, no worries. You're welcome. I think the first cut will be in September, but also would depend on data. Yeah, I mean, looking at our poll, most people think September, and I would agree with you. I think that's the most probable date for a cut at this point in time. It's still not a certainty for sure. It could always change, but yeah. Where's Bitcoin now? Let's take a look at Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin not really reacting to the PPI data here. Yeah, listen, we do this before everybody else. We cover it faster than everybody else. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You're welcome. And we do it for free. We don't charge for it. All right, guys. So Bitcoin, Nasdaq, Nvidia. Chicken eggs dropped 21.8% month over month. Yeah, I mean, consumer-facing goods in June did increase 0.3% month over month. Core increased 0.3% month over month. This was driven by communication equipment, gas, residential electric power, canned, cooked, smoked poultry, meats, and tree nuts. But chicken eggs dropped 21.8%. But gas and food are pretty freaking volatile, brother. You know, those prices are going to swing up and down pretty big. That's why I love this channel. Hey, thank you guys. Hey, congrats up. Fed is everyone by the nuts. Yeah, maybe. What stocks? Why not in August? Because there's no meeting in August. Okay, so just to put this in perspective, right? The Fed makes a rate decision every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks. Last one was what? Late June, right? Next one we get is July 30th. Last one was mid to late June. I think it was June 18th. The next one we get is July 30th, 6 weeks away. And so it happens every 6 weeks. So it doesn't happen every month is the point. Some months it'll be back to back, but it goes July, September, November. Or no, it goes July, September, October, December is what the schedule is for Fed meetings and rate decisions this year. So that's that's what it is. Yeah, and again, yields did decrease, as I said. You know, here's yields down to 4.49% on this report. Nasdaq's punching higher here. How does today's PPI data affect yesterday's CPI? Well, PPI is wholesales. And eventually, you know, wholesale prices generally get passed on to consumers. And so if we get lower wholesale prices, the theory is that eventually it'll get passed on to consumer prices as well. Yeah, good PPI data today, guys. Again, 0% for both core and regular month-over-month PPI inflation. Also, guys, give me a follow at Beginner Trades on X. We cover this breaking news as soon as it happens at Beginner Trades on X. We also posted a full breakdown of like what this means. So if you want to see like a list for list bullet point breakdown of pricing in the PPI report at Beginner Trades. Again, I'll go over it real quick, even though you know it might, but follow me anyway. Overall PPI 0% unchanged, rose 0.3% in May, 0% in June. Year over year up 2.3%. Annual gain is slowing though, which is good. Final goods up 0.3%, largest since February, driven by broad-based gains including communication, gas, home electric, poultry, meats, and tree nuts. Final demand services decreased 0.1% in declines in transportation, warehousing, travel accommodations, auto parts, and fares, partially offset by higher portfolio management fees. Core 0% month-over-month, staying flat after May's small 0.1% gains. Intermediate demand levels, processed goods 0.1% gain month-over-month, led by energy goods increase. Unprocessed goods up 0.7%, driven by material energy increases. Services saw a 0.1% decline. Stable wholesale inflation. No headline PPI gain suggests cooling upstream pressures. Goods inflation remains present, though. Intermediate and final goods rising. Input level inflation still visible. Services inflation is getting better. We'll see what the Fed does, basically, is what this shows. Has Doritos approached me? Not again. Does anybody really think inflation is going down? It doesn't really say inflation is going down, Todd. It says inflation hasn't grown month to month, but it's still up on the year, brother. So you got to understand what this means. This does not mean lower inflation. This means slowing inflation. All right? Inflation's never really going to go back down, brother. Like, again, 2020 happened. A lot of economic stimulus, a lot of QE, money printing, Fed injecting liquidity into markets, trying to bring interest rates down and stimulate it to save us from the lockdowns and, you know, all this stuff. They also sent out stimulus checks. They brought rates to almost zero. We also had supply chain restraints. All of these things contributed to super ridiculous inflation by 2022. Inflation, CPI had propped up to like 9.2% by 2022. The Fed then recognizes the risks of inflation rising, and so the Fed pivots to a restrictive approach, a hawkish approach. They start raising rates like 500 basis points. They raised rates 500 basis points or something like that, and they kept them there for a year straight. They paused rates at those higher levels for a year straight, trying to push down the economy a little bit to slow inflation's rise. And this worked, but you're not really going to get prices going down. The best you can do is to slow them down. And that's what we got. We got prices coming down from 9.2% at the worst in 2022. And now we got PPI inflation data, at 2.3% on the year. We got CPI inflation at like 2.7. And so we're closer to the 2% goal, but prices are still rising. Don't get it twisted. They're not literally going down. And the only time you're actually literally going to see prices declining are recessions, depressions, right? And so, yeah, I guess the overarching point I'm trying to make is you shouldn't expect prices to ever really literally go down for any significant amount of time unless we're in like a deep recession or depression, When was inflation not going down? I would say 95% of the time, 98% of the time, inflation doesn't go down. Let's take a look at a CPI inflation graph here to answer that question. Here's CPI inflation over the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever this is. 20 years. You're asking me when have prices? Wait, what was the question? When was inflation not going down? A large majority of the time. When did inflation go down? Here. For a very small percentage of the time in 2008 and 2009. But that's it in 20 years. Maybe here for a very small period of time. A week or two. Or 1 month's reading. But then it popped right back up the next month. So, I mean, 2 times in the last 20 years. I guess that's 10%, but 90+% of the time prices do not go down, literally go down. They go up, as this suggests. Again, here's the 9.1% in June of 2022. Like the graph we just mentioned, Fed goes restrictive. Prices start to slow down as the Fed got more restrictive, restricting the economy, trying to push inflation down. And then we've basically been slight downtrending, but sideways for inflation since 2023. Fed will only move if employment or inflation move to worse levels. Good uptrend. Yeah. Nasdaq's up, testing highs of the day. Can you consider it as positive data or negative? What's subjective? Everybody's going to have a differing opinion of it, right? Like everything's so subjective in markets. That's why I always tell people, like, I don't know. Not an investment professional. I would consider this good data because eventually wholesale inflation can get passed on to consumers. And so if we have good wholesale inflation data like today, or better than expected data, lower than last time rises in price, or zero rise in price month to month, I think that's optimistic for consumer prices moving forward. But we're in the landscape of tariffs right now, and so I think it's always subject to change. And so we could certainly get higher inflation next month, especially if with the August 1st deadline approaching in almost exactly 2 weeks. I don't think anything's given right now. I think it could certainly change, and you have to take it as that. High of the day currently is at 23,084. We're at 23,070 right now. Stock market is a simple interpretation of the inflation goalpost. As the inflation moves down the road, stocks go higher to compensate. Yeah, that's probably true. They're different markets, but it's certainly correlated to some extent for sure. All right, guys, we got 30 minutes until the opening bell. Stick with me here for the open, though. We're going to day trade live at the opening bell. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys, so let's see what else we got. Morgan Stanley CFO expects stable Q3 versus Q2. Magnitude earthquake hits Chile. Morgan Stanley CFO or CEO says banks saw a resumption of investment banking activity in June. Bank of America CFO says in trading they saw increased activity across Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Looking at other stuff here. New York Fed Service Business Leaders Survey showed minus 9.3% versus minus 13.2% expected. Oh, we also have industrial production numbers and capacity utilization rate for June showing up in 17 minutes. I don't think it's going to be a big release, but it might be relevant enough to watch for sure here. We'll see. But we do have industrial production numbers at 9:15. We're going to cover that as well. Right. I mean, I've said this once, I'll say it again, right? Like, people can say whatever they want about me. I'm pretty neutral on a lot of things. One thing I genuinely believe, and I'm going to preface it with I'm not an investment professional, but if you do not invest in something, you are going to lose money to inflation over time. This is a formula that I run probably at least once a week, depending on what's going on in my life. At least once a week, I'll show the stream this formula because it's an important formula to understand here, chat. And so it goes back to investing in something over time, because if not, inflation is going to eat your buying power over time. And it's very simple, right? Like, let's just use today's 2.7% rise year over year to inflation, right? 2.7%. So let's say you got $100,000 and you are losing 2.7% a year to inflation, right? So that would be 0.973. So over a 20-year period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 years, you're going to lose 24% of your money to buying power. In 20 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to lose 43% of your money, 42% of your money in 20 years. In 30 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to lose well over 50% of your buying power. If you do not hedge by investing into something, you will lose money over time. All right, this is one of the reasons sitting on cash makes absolutely no sense. Now, you can hedge with a lot of different things. You can hedge with gold, real estate, investments in the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow. You could try to handpick some blue chip stocks. You could try to buy gold. You could buy crypto if you want. Some of these have differing levels of risk. But the overarching point is you got to invest in something. You got to let your money work for you in some way over long periods of time. If not, you are going to lose money to inflation. Morgan Stanley did lower its core PCE forecast to 0.27% month over month in June. It was 0.35% post CPI yesterday, following PPI data year over year is now seen at 2.74%. 2.74%. This is good. At 2x speed, you sound like one of those disclaimers on the radio. Yeah, I mean, I feel you, but I'm trying. We're trying over here. Eventually, it should catch up to the stream, and so I won't sound like a chipmunk, I'm sure, if you put it in 2x speed. People are telling me to get a pop filter. I got this new mic right here that I bought on vacation. I think it's a better mic. I'll have to figure out how to set it up, though, because, it's a better mic, But I know the current mic I have is solid and works well enough. So, oh man, I'm about to break this new mic I got here. Hold on. I wonder if I unscrew this. I'll mess with that later. Yeah, so if you're live, 2x speed shouldn't actually make you go higher. All right, look at Nasdaq 2369s. All right, we got industrial production numbers in less than 15 minutes. Not really a huge data release, but worthwhile to watch, I think, here. All right, we're dipping down a little bit. We're at 66 right now, 67s. Yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of differing opinions regarding today's PPI report. And I guess the question I'm going to have is, are you optimistic from this PPI data, or are you pessimistic from it? Let me know. We did a poll. We asked people, when are we going to cut rates? 47% think September, 24% July. I'm honestly kind of shocked that 24% of you guys think we're going to cut rates in July. You know, it's at a 2.7% likelihood. Let me see if it's changed. But it's not very probable we're going to cut rates in July. It's just not. Like, I'll put it this way. Data that comes out 2 weeks before the rate decision does not usually influence it that much. These are the probabilities right now. And we're at 2.6% likelihood of a cut this month in July. So it's just not very probable. So a quarter of you all voting for that seems a little, you know, seems wrong, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll eat my words. I don't know. Pessimistic for economy, optimistic. I don't think it's gonna happen in July though, D. You know, even if it should, I think you could justify it in July, just to put it into perspective. I think you could probably argue a rate cut in July. But I don't think we're going to cut rates in July. Was the mic I used last week better or worse than the current mic that I have right now? Let me know. I might buy this dip here. Let me see. We'll try. Let's buy it. We bounced right before I bought it too, man. I'm a little mad about it, but it's okay. Okay, that's good. We bounced up really nicely at this level. We're gonna add back to it here since we can. Maybe buy a little bit stronger of a dip. We have 25 minutes until the open, so we still got some time. I gotta start basing more trades around the levels, because like I should have bought it down here when it was testing my level here. Like, look at this level right here. I should have bought it right here. This level was on the chart well before this, and we bounced exactly at it. And I think I'd probably have a pretty high percentage like stuff if we bought that dip there instead, but maybe we could scale in. But again, Morgan Stanley lowered its core PCE forecast to 0.27% in June. It was 0.35% after CPI yesterday, so got a little bit better, as it should with this data. How can you argue for a rate cut? I mean, inflation is ticking up. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Compound? Welcome back, bro. Yeah, I mean, look, some inflation data is good, some is bad. Consumer prices are slightly higher. Producer prices are slightly lower. And so some is good, some is bad. You know, and so it's not like, it's not a given right now. It's somewhere in the middle. But I think you could probably argue one. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut some of this here. We're now nicely green on the day here. I'm gonna start basing my trades purely around these levels that I have too. It just works so well. Like we had this level on our chart well before this. It just works so well. All right, Supermicro is now shipping high-performance 4-socket X14 servers for demanding enterprises, database, and mission-critical workloads powered by Intel's Xeon 6 processors. I haven't heard about Supermicro in a minute here. Is it still crazy volatile? Where's it at right now? It's at 50 plus, so it's been capitalizing on the AI run. Over 50s now, which is good for it. Good news for it just showed up too. Johnson & Johnson says its 25 forecast does not include the impact of most favored nations drug prices. Yeah, Bitcoin didn't really react much to it. As of now, rate plus bill, higher tariff equals inflation, longer term. Yeah, I mean, the risks of rate cuts are simple. Inflation is the risks of rate cuts. Look at Supermicro on this news. Running up, it's at 53.45s as we speak. Effective federal funds rate for July 15th. Yesterday hasn't changed from the 14th. Yeah, I mean, we're still looking at stuff, but most people are still reacting to the PPI inflation data here. Look at this run up. No cuts, no pump. Retail has no money. We dump on retail. Supermicro is now like Netflix. Maybe. I hope Supermicro goes up. All right, guys, we got 20 minutes until the market opens. 20 minutes. You guys red or green today? Red or green? Let me know in chat right now. I'm slightly green on this account. I'm going to switch to my funded one in a second. But we're just kind of playing around here waiting for my... I have a hard time not trading prior to the open, but my bigger edge is after the opening bell. So... All right, we're still heading up. Let's see if this 7.5 level holds. Oh, I got another funded account here too. I didn't even realize. Nice. All right, we're still heading up. I was gonna say that though. Hold on, let me see. All right, so we're rejecting here. We did reject pretty close to the 75 level. Might want to lower this just a slight amount down to here maybe, but I think it's close enough to 75 to get some reaction to it. So my levels really do work fairly well. I just got to build systems around them, but yeah. Yesterday was a disaster. Yeah, I mean, I've passed a lot of them. I just kind of sitting tight in these now, though. Like, a lot of the time, I don't activate them until I have a need to. All right, guys. Hey, we got 15 minutes. We got industrial production numbers in 3 minutes, though. So, industrial production numbers in 3 minutes. We'll see what that moves markets, if that moves markets here. We'll see. But yeah, industrial production numbers. We're kind of in the summer slowdown with stuff, but again, still 47% think September rate cut is coming. Coffee? Yeah, I mean, I like coffee. See, I'm one of those rare people, though. I only drink coffee once a day. I drink coffee right now when I'm streaming. After that, I don't drink coffee at all. And so usually I need a nap by like 1 or 2, depending on if we got anything going on. All right, so we tapped 75 again. Look at this level. We tapped it. We tapped 75. Let's see if we fall down now. Yeah, we just come down. I see next year cuts. The inflation from tariffs is not in. You don't think we cut until next year? What are the chances of Powell resigning or being removed? What's up, Enrico? My guy becoming a member. Thanks so much, bro. I don't know. I think the chances of Powell being removed are low. I think it's possible. And it's not going to be like it's going to be pressure. Like they're going to pressure him too. So, but I don't think it's. I think it could happen. It's just not very probable it does. You know. All right, capacity utilization about to drop. Industrial production numbers about to drop in 5 seconds. So let's see what these show up as. All right, industrial production numbers just came out. Let's see if these move markets at all. I don't think they will, but they could. Nothing yet for these numbers. So late for showing up. All right, so they showed up at 0.3% month over month, higher than expected industrial production. Capacity utilization showed up slightly higher at 77.6%. Industrial production showed up at 0.3% month over month. Manufacturing production showed up at 0.1% month over month. Everything was higher than expected here. Didn't really move markets, but again, industrial production slightly higher than expected, slightly stronger than expected. We also have Barr speaking today. Fed Vice Chair for Supervision Barr speaking at 10 a.m. But again, industrial production 0.3%. We'll put this up in chat right now so you can follow it, but slightly stronger than expected. Capacity utilization. Man, that's a word. Showed up at 77.6. All right, guys, let's day trade. All right, guys, so we're going to be day trading Nasdaq futures into the opening bell mostly this morning. We got 13 minutes left, a little bit over that, a little bit under that. Fed's hammock does not comment on monetary policy or economic outlook in initial remarks. Yeah, I think Powell will finish his term in May of 26, personally. But again, it could change, but I don't think it will, but it could. Remember, tomorrow we have European CPI, another interesting look. We also have core retail sales and retail sales for the U.S., jobless claims, unemployment filings, Philly Fed Index, and more at 8:30 tomorrow. And so we're going to trade live at the opening bell, but stick around. We're also going to cover that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. $12 left. I mean, NVIDIA looks strong today, but it doesn't mean it's going to keep going up. I mean, the opening bell is almost here. Pantheon, following U.S. PPI, estimates that core PCE deflator increased by 0.28% in June, keeping the inflation rate at 2.7%. So that news just came out. There's Supermicro, NVIDIA, Tesla reacting pretty favorably. Tesla back up to highs of the day. All right, we're up to almost 920s. Let's see if we hold. Did my music stop? I guess it did. Hold on. Pretty charts, levels. Hey, nice, Kelly. Thanks. Yeah, my levels have worked, man. I didn't add any levels on this chart this morning. These are all old levels that we just kind of left on our chart. All right, so Canada BC Premier says Canada considers limiting lumber exports to resolve U.S. trade dispute, according to Bloomberg. Dude, my eyes won't stop twitching, dude. Very weird. Never Google anything like this, chat. At the very least, I should take a magnesium supplement. I should probably take my blood pressure too. All right. Yeah, so we are up to 75 Let's see if this level breaks now. It's tested 3 or 4 times, and now we're actually pushing higher than it. Yeah, most people say I need to take some magnesium. It's weird. It's only on one side. It's on my left side. But my eyes have been twitching for days now. Hey, the #1 fan shows up. Rusty, my guy. Thanks so much. Rusty's #1 at 1100 XP. Pawn's #2 at 200 XP. Yowzer's #3. Sam's #4. Tiny's #5. Enrico's #6. Lenny's #7. Arian is #8. BT is #9. John Foley is #10. Graph is #11. Ryan Scott's #12. Shy's #13. This is probably more accurate to the real stream and like who genuinely shows up regularly. I knew you were a robot. I might be. If I'm a robot, I'm the robot guy from Grandma's Boy is who I am. You know, you would if you had robot ears. Okay. 7 minutes left until the market opens. Why does my music keep stopping? Here, hold on. Yeah, I should probably drink some water. Yeah. All right, guys, we still respected the 75 level. Look at that, we tapped it. I'm not really confident enough in buying it. We got 7 minutes until the opening bell. Hey, nice, Rusty. Blue belt in jiu-jitsu? You mean you are a blue belt in jiu-jitsu? I don't think you ever go back. Boxing coach at Gracie Baja. It could be sleep. Again, I got in at, I got home 3 a.m. Monday morning. We got home. Honestly, I'm still kind of PO'd at Carroll. We were supposed to leave Friday, right? We were supposed to leave Michigan Friday. Our flight got pushed back to like 10 o'clock at night on Friday. And so I was like, hey, well, let's just, like, we could hang out and then leave for like 5, 6, get to the airport, wait there, get back home in the middle of the night Saturday morning, you know, like early Saturday morning, and sleep in because I don't have to work. And Carol's like, no, I've got a bad feeling about leaving Friday. And so then we end up leaving Sunday night, or we end up leaving at 3 a.m. Sunday morning. 3 a.m. Sunday morning, we get to the airport. Our plane was supposed to leave at 6. It gets delayed. We end up missing our flight to Chicago. And eventually, we can't get a flight into Chicago, out of Chicago, until 10 o'clock Sunday night. That gets pushed back to 11:30. We don't get back from the airport until 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Monday morning. And then I had to work at 6 a.m. Central, right? So 2 hours later, I got an hour and a half of sleep, woke up, still streamed for you guys. You're welcome. With 2 hours of sleep. And then I slept basically all day Tuesday. Like, I didn't get out of bed Tuesday. I basically just slept. But I've probably slept too much at this point in time. I slept a lot yesterday, too, to catch back up. Now I feel better, and it was hard for me to sleep last night because I had slept so much. But miserable. I hated it. I blame Carol, personally. I love her. It was a bad decision, you know. All right, guys, we're at 75 right now. We got 3 minutes until the open. We didn't dodge anything. We saw our plane. We would have made it in at like 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and I could have slept in, right? Her bad feeling was wrong. I'm going to put it that way. And her mom was crying and all this stuff when we left, and she felt guilty because her mom was crying because we were leaving, and like, I wasn't happy about it. I love her, but I wasn't happy about it. Oh, I definitely pointed it out, Pew. Oh, you better believe I pointed out that we would have made it in Saturday at 12 o'clock at night. Reasonable, you know. All right, guys, so we popped over that 75 level. We got exactly 3 minutes until the open. We'll see what we get. If somebody hypothetically has $1,000 to work with and they want to make $50 daily, what would you recommend? I would recommend trying a funded account program, right? Again, I'm biased because I get paid by Top Step, but Top Step, genuinely useful. You can get started for $50 a month. If you're new to day trading, though, you're probably still going to lose, right? It doesn't matter where you go, you're probably going to lose money. It's a lot cheaper to try Top Step and fail than it is to try to day trade with that $1,000. You're probably going to lose your first couple accounts. And so personally, I would try Top Step. Again, I'm biased because I get paid by them. I can't guarantee anything. You want to understand, not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. But genuinely, if it was me, I would try them because that's a cheaper way to get started for less. If you only have $1,000, that's not very much to day trade with if you're talking about funding your own account. And so, yeah, if it was me, I would just trade with Top Step. Personally, 0 commission on Top Step X, no PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, Russell. If you pass their test, you get a $50K funded account. You can start taking withdrawals, some of the most reliable payouts in the world. So that's what I would do personally. But again, I'm biased because I get paid by them. So definitely biased in their favor, as you would be if you were paid by them. But I genuinely think they're a useful company. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half left. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left until the opening bell. Apple's ripping up at the open. It just broke highs of the day. Nasdaq's pretty sideways, though. Like, look at Apple. Apple's up to 210s. All right, we got 25 seconds left. Good luck, guys. Let's see if we can make some money at the opening bell. I'm going to switch to my actual funded account here now, or one of them. Yeah. All right. We're trading our funded account live now. I think that's pretty reasonable, though, Lenny. 5 days, $200 each. There's the bell. I think that's pretty small. And I think those are better rules than a lot of the other ones. All right, guys, there's the open. Apple running a little bit at the opening bell. Nvidia hasn't really moved yet. Apple popping. Let's see if we hold now. I got to let at least 5 minutes pass. Look at the Nasdaq rise. Broke highs of the day just now. Got up to 88s. Big move up. Nvidia popping up. Where's the Nvidia all-time highs? 173. 172.80s technically. So the Nvidia all-time high is here. Okay, Nvidia's all-time high is right here. Nasdaq turning down big. What's dropping the Nasdaq here? It's not Tesla. It's not AMD. Amazon falling down quickly here. Whoa. Is it banks? What's dropping the Nasdaq right now? It's a pretty big drop. What's driving this here? Anybody know what stocks are driving this down? Amazon, Meta. Amazon, Meta. Microsoft. Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft dropping. We're only 1 minute into the day. 1.5 minutes. 2 minutes now, actually. But I gotta wait just a little while. Amazon, Meta, Microsoft falling at the open. ASML. ASML dumping down to 740s too, so ASML getting pretty weak here as well. Nvidia's flat basically, but we got a bounce right here at the 200 exponential right here. So part of me wants to buy this dip, but we're not really. We're only 3 minutes into the day. So I need about 4 minutes before I can trade. We might miss out on some stuff, but that's alright. Looks kind of weak right now since the opening. Apple's pushing back up though. I think Nvidia's got a shot too. You know what? We'll buy this dip. We'll try. There you go. Nice. I'm going to cut it right there. Just lock in that profit. Just very quick bounce here at this 35 level in the 200 exponential. Selling at this level here at this 50 level that we might reject. Maybe should have held it a little bit longer, but it's all right. All right, so the China Chamber of Commerce to the European group held a meeting with the EU official on auto cooperation. 6 members from companies including Neo, Xpeng, X, and Eve, XIAOMI, and Eve Energy attended the meeting, according to a statement from them. All right, so the U.S. House of Representatives is going to vote on Bitcoin and crypto bills in 3 hours at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. All right, Nasdaq's breaking down, so it looks like this little scalp here was right. Still getting some red. I will buy this dip here if we can catch it. I'm gonna buy this one contract here and maybe add to it as time goes on down on this dip. Nice. I'm gonna cut it right there too. Just kind of scalping these moves just as we can. Very nice dips. We've been buying a lot of good dips here. We never really got a chance to add to it. It just kind of went in our favor fast. Nvidia's starting to head back up. Looks like a cup right here for Nvidia. Apple's still testing this level down here at the VWAP. AMD's starting to creep back up, so is Tesla. Yeah, I mean, I can't usually trade in the first 4 minutes. The rule I usually give myself is 4 minutes. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to trade the first 4 minutes. And so I'm strict with 4 minutes, not necessarily 5, to be honest. 4 minutes is when things start settling down, in my opinion. But a lot of people should wait the first 15 minutes. It's just everybody's different. If I'm scalping quickly, I'll do it, but it's not zero risk for sure, you know. Can you explain the difference between the S&P 500 and the ES Mini and how they work? So the SPX is just the S&P 500. You can't buy directly the S&P 500. So you can't buy SPX. It's just an index that tracks different stocks, 500 of the largest stocks in the world, right? It's the S&P 500, but it's an index that you can't buy directly. In order to buy the S&P 500, you can buy either ETFs or futures of the S&P 500, and both have differences. So the ES is the futures contract of the S&P 500, right? So if you look at the E-mini here, it's the futures contract. Slight differences in price, but basically tracks the same thing. If you look at the SPY, it's an ETF. Different price, 10x smaller, but again tracks the same thing. But you could buy both of these directly. Futures expire quarterly though, so you're gonna have to pivot your contract quarterly. So they're more meant for shorter term trading. The SPY is a ETF, so you can hold that indefinitely long term, right? And both of these have different fees and structures and stuff like that, but that's basically the difference. Anyways, AMD, Tesla, kind of finding some support here. We'll see what happens. Ooh, all right. Yeah, 15 is probably smart. I'm not saying you should trade the first 5 minutes. I just say sometimes I'll take some small scalps as I'm waiting for the market to settle down. All right, so again, just to break down the day, PPI cooled better than expected almost everywhere. I'm looking at wanting to buy this now, though. Let's see if we do. Yeah, I should have bought. Tesla flying up right now. Look at that. Nvidia looks like it wants to go higher too, but let's see. Let's wait. ASML continues to fall down here though. So we're bouncing towards the bottom here, but we're now under the 200 exponential. Let's see if we find some support. We got this 25 level that we might bounce off of, but Nvidia's starting to turn is the problem here, I think. So we're down to 50 here. Or we're down to 25, I mean. It looks weak, but it also looks like it could get balled up here too. Still weak. We hit 8. We're heading down to 23,000. I do want to see if it gets bought up, but well, we lost our challenge account. We just kind of went big, swinging for it. It's a $50 account, so we'll be all right. We're actually up in every other account that we have too, that we've traded today at least. All right, so let's see if we can trade some more. I do kind of want to buy 23,008. But I also want to see if we buy 23 down here. We kind of broke underneath it. I want to see if we can buy 23 right here, because I think that's a big milestone level. I think NVIDIA is also at the 200 exponential, but we're also like right at the previous close for NVIDIA. Oh, dude, there's the bounce. I didn't quite get the bounce right here. Look at that. Yeah, I've only traded a couple times in my funded account. We've just kind of been playing around with it. ASML is cheap right now. It does look cheap. Look at the bounce right here at 08 and 23. NVIDIA bouncing at the 200 exponential. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tiny. What happened? Concuss. What happened? Look at Tesla, though. Tesla at 317s. Yeah, I should have waited for this level, but again, with the challenge accounts, I'm already funded in so many accounts that, like, I'm not super worried about them. I'm just kind of swinging and playing around with it. But I'm green on my funded account today. Or in one of them. The only one I've traded. So I do kind of want to buy this dip too, but I need a little bit more of a pullback down to like maybe 08. And we might not get it because it does look strong here. 200 EMAs right here though at 35, 36. This might be big enough of a pullback to attack. We'll try it. I'm gonna buy this. We're green. Let's see if we can go more green. I don't really want to let it break down too much here, but I want to give it a second. We're green again. Yeah, my eye is twitching. It's kind of weirding me out. And so like I said, we're going to buy this 2308 level here. See if we pop back up fast. I've got a cushion on the day that I can play with, so that's good. There we go. Nice. We're going to take half off there. Lock that in. Get out the rest right there. Green trade. Add a little bit back here at the lows. See if we can scale in a little bit more. Nice little pop up, but kind of retracing quickly too. I don't know if I want to add back here, but I can try. Kind of trading counter trend, but I do think we're at some big support levels here too, so I can kind of play with this some. Give it some time to rebound back up. There's 08. Oh, 8's the level I'm letting it test, but I'll sell it if it starts to fall too fast here. We're also at 23,000 right there, but I don't want to risk too much. Big little pop back. I'll liquidate some of it just to protect the trade. And then I'll just wait. Here's the bounce. Here we go. Nice. I'm gonna add to a winning trade here. Take half off just to protect it. And let's see if we get some more green. There we go. Nice. There we go. We're gonna cut it right there. Did get a bounce. I'll buy a dip too here if we get it. Just gotta be careful. ASML continues to break down here, but Tesla looks strong. All right, we bought this dip. We'll take half off there. Give this a second to run. We add a little bit more down here too. 2 contracts now. There we go. Only got 1 left. We'll let the rest work. Pretty green on the last few trades. ASML keeps breaking down though. That's the only one that I'm nervous about. If it keeps showing really deep weakness, we got to be careful, but we're green on this trade now too. I don't like this at all. I'm just going to cut it right there. Although look at Nvidia start to rise. We'll try it. We'll try to scale in some trades here. There's 3. There's 4 contracts. Almost green. Let's see if we can go green now. There we go. Nice. Maybe add to this one too if we get a stronger pop up. Took a little bit more off there at the top. There we go. Been catching it. Looking at AMD, Nvidia, Tesla run back up. Oh, y'all can't see the trades I'm taking. I'm sorry. I'm in a different account, I guess. Yeah. Sorry. Here. I'll switch to this account, I guess, on stream. Yeah, sorry. Here, look. So we're up about $100 on this account right now. Which one am I showing you? Yeah. So we're up about $100 on this account. We're up in both funded accounts. Yeah, sorry, my bad, guys. I got a couple different funded accounts, so I'm not really trying to give people signals anyway. I'm telling people when I'm getting in and out, but we've been kind of grinding it up some. You can see the trades right here. We've had 1, 2, 3 losing trades out of 20, just to put this in perspective today. So that's nice. Let's watch 23,000 though. We're retesting 23K. Yeah. Again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to learn day trading. We're trading on a Top Step funded account, and these are where I'm drawing these levels on the Nasdaq. We have a video breaking down how we draw these levels, but check out Top Step. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow. Top Step has 0 commission as well. They pay out millions, fund thousands. Link is pinned to the top of the chat as well as in the description. We broke down under 23,000, which is a big milestone level. And the more interesting part is that I don't have any levels underneath this here. And then look at this fall. It doesn't mean we're going to break down heavy here. It really depends on what Nvidia does. Nvidia is right at that previous closing price, but it is a milestone level break of 23,000, which is a big level. It's a level people flock to and pay attention to certainly here. Yeah, exactly, Robert. I think that's what I profited off of here. Yeah, yeah. And then look at this drop under 23K. You can see why I'm watching 23,000 here, because once we break that level, people panic. It's a milestone level that people. We also have some foreign news going on today, some conflict news that might be influencing this. Goldman Sachs CEO says geopolitical concerns and pending trade deals remain risk. Tariff uncertainty invites caution. Customers are trying to understand what tariff means, according to the ASML CEO. Why semiconductors are dropping? Probably because they're up so much over the last few days and they're not going to go straight up. You know what I mean? So they probably just pulling back on extension and exhaustion. Yeah, we are dipping down some. We'll buy 55 if we get down there, but we need that. We need 55 first. I'm trying to just wait. We're green on everything right now. We're green on our funded accounts. In fact, every funded account that we have, we're green on. We're up in every funded account that we have. So feels good, man. Feels good. Again, I'm looking for this dip down here, though. I need 55 or 50 before I buy, personally. Remember, not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Some links are affiliate or sponsored links. Don't copy me. Don't sue me. We're not liable if you do. You know, we got it everywhere. We got it on the bottom. We got it on our disclaimer. We got it everywhere you look. We're not liable. Don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. What's up, Tobias? They anticipated bad news, but it turns out good. They already sold stuff, so it's time for them to push back. Yeah, I mean, maybe we got some extension. Watch NVIDIA too. NVIDIA is such a leader of markets. So if NVIDIA starts to come back over the previous closing price, NVIDIA is kind of flat on the day. It's slightly red since the open and slightly red on the day total. But if it starts to get back over this level, as well as like if Tesla keeps ripping, if Apple keeps ripping, if AMD keep pushing up, they're going to drag the Nasdaq and the S&P higher potentially if that happens. I'm not saying it will, but if it does, you know, you could see some upward price. Ooh. Again, I'm not buying it until we hit these two levels down here. Rigetti. Yeah, Rigetti seems okay. I like quantum stocks too. All right, so we're starting to dip down a little bit more here. We're getting close to that 955 level, but I need to wait for that level to hold first. But we might start scaling in as we get close to it. Why do I have this level on my chart, this 55 level? Yeah, I think you could probably argue the level was instead right here. Yeah, and I missed it. Oh well. That's where I wanted to buy. I don't know why I had it $5 earlier. Missed the level by 5 ticks, but that's all right. Yeah, I mean, people aren't going to win suing me. I mean, they're really not. Like, I literally tell people I have no idea what I'm talking about every single day, multiple times a day, not to copy me, not in, like, you can read the bottom of the screen. Just this disclaimer here makes, you know, you're not going to win. And it's on every stream, you know. Yeah, Rigetti got all the way up to $15 a share and then pulled back. It's now getting back over the VWAP, though. The question is, do I want to buy this again? Maybe. I might buy 75 if we get it. We'll try. A little early of a buy here, but that's okay. There's 2. There's 3. We'll leave it here. I'm gonna take half off just to protect the trade. See if we bounce right here. There we go. Nice. We can hold this now. See what happens. It looks like it wants to hold support, but if those sells come in, it's going to be risky. So it looks like it wants to bounce though, but flat. I'm going to cut this down here. It's just too risky. Small loss. Still up. I copy your levels and it makes me money though. Yeah, I mean, I think about levels, like if you learn how to follow them, like they're not going to work every time. But like, look at 60 here. We redrew this level. Let's see what happens. They're not going to work every time though. And it's not a reasonable expectation to think they do. Nothing's going to, if they worked every time, the market would never move, you know? But I think if you learn how to follow them, they can be powerful too. And we got a video on it, but yeah, like look at this right here. And sometimes I'll correct them and move them around, but yeah, there's my video levels. Let's watch 950. I think we could get a bounce at 950 if we get that low, but we might not. Top 3. What do you mean by face AI? Alright, so this 960 level held really firm. There, look at that. SPY just turned red, did it really? It's still green. It dumped red for a split second, but it's testing that now. A lot of stuff starting to rebound. Nvidia, SPY, AMD, Tesla, Apple. Although Apple just had a triple top at 211.25 or so. Yeah, we do have the Fed's Bar speaking. He says relaxing banking rules could create vulnerabilities. Booms and busts are tied to weakened regulation. Starting to see some bounces in markets right now, though. All right, chat. Again, we're sitting tight waiting for something to happen. Bar's speaking right now. Market is basically sideways since 9:50 market time. Last 15 minutes or so have been basically flat. Favorite AI stocks? Nvidia, of course. I would say Nvidia, Meta. Their Llama AI systems are pretty solid. What else? I think you gotta add quantum stocks into the mix there too, but I would say Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, just because of the open AI, exposure. Tesla, because of robotics, I would say. And there's a couple more. There's a lot more, to be honest. ARM is good. Maybe Supermicro Semiconductors, Palantir, all AI related. Quantum stocks, QBTS, Rigetti, CoreWeave, CRWV, they're all pretty solid. Yeah, those are probably my favorite ones, but they vary depending on AI. Yeah, all good, brother. Again, this is not a recommendation, not an investment professional. Read this. We are not market professionals. Let's see what happens. All right, look, I gotta turn this light off. My eyes are already twitching here. This is too freaking bright at this point in time. Yeah, I might prefer this better. Honestly, it's a resting part of my eyes. So, OpenAI is already owned by Microsoft, but I mean they could, I guess, but they're already owned by, Microsoft, a large chunk of them, and Microsoft benefits from OpenAI's strength. Fed's bars warns that relaxing rules can create vulnerabilities here. All right, guys, I'm probably going to cut it right here. Again, check out Top Step. I've been day trading on Top Step all day. Green in every funded account that I have. Green on the day and all the funded accounts that I've traded. Really nice day. Followed my levels really well. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Top Step links pinned at the top of the chat if you want to get started. If you don't have that much money and you're a good day trader, Top Step's the way, in my opinion. But I'm biased. I get paid by them. Not an investment professional. Check them out. You can also check me out on x.com @beginnertrades. We post all the breaking news there, too, that we can see. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. Y'all be safe in the market. Tomorrow we got retail sales, jobless claims, Philly Fed Index, and more 8:30 data tomorrow morning. It's been a slow week or two, but we got data back in here, so I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And, yeah. I wish you streamed longer. Yeah, Vin, but I start streaming at 6 a.m. my time. I stream for 3+ hours every day. And it's just me here running the stream. So I trade, this is when I trade, is the first 30-40 minutes of the day, and then I'm done. Sometimes I trade power hour, but I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not just to get viewers. This is when I trade. I trade the first 40 minutes of the day, roughly. and that's when I stream the open. But I also trade the pre-market session. That's when I watch things the most, and so that's what I stream, cover all the breaking news. And so I hope you understand. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day.